A heartwarming discovery, how 3 unexpected details saved a billionaire's son's life in seconds. Jake wiped the sweat from his brow, the late afternoon sun casting golden rays onto the floor of his father's garage. The rich scent of motor oil was broken only by the warmth of Aunt Louise's pies cooling just next door. Here he was, a 32-year-old mechanic carrying on a legacy, but feeling the weight of each day pressed down. His loving wife and 2 kids needed him to succeed, their eager dreams for a better life filling the air around them, a constant hum of hope and love. Yet, in the quiet moments when the shop lights dimmed and the world outside faded, loneliness crept in, tugging at his heart. One fateful evening, as Jake was about to close shop, a piercing scream shattered the stillness. A sleek black car had skidded to a halt right in front of his garage. Heart racing, Jake ran outside to find chaos, onlookers gasping, tires screeching, and within moments, a familiar face emerging from the wreckage. Tyler, the billionaire's son, the golden child of the town, unconscious, his life slipping away just like that. As Jake dragged Tyler into the garage, he felt all his training surge to the front. Thoughts raced, pulse pounding, worry twisting in his stomach. He didn't care about the gulf between their worlds now, he just wanted to save this kid. He fumbled through his father's old tools, hands shaking, hoping to make a difference. The garage was filled with a sense of urgency, the sharp scent of oil mixing with the fear lingering in the air. "Please," he whispered, "not like this." With each passing minute, Tyler's breathing steadied under Jake's careful watch. Recognition flickered in his eyes as he came to. They talked, 2 souls finding common ground amid the chaos. "I love the feel of the road, man," Tyler shared, a weak grin breaking through the pallor of his face. They bonded over their dreams, Jake's of sending his kids to college, and Tyler's desire to race cars, far from the shadow of his fortune. For the first time, both saw the world differently, their laughter peppered with the harsh realities each faced. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just as the bonds of friendship were weaving tighter, tragedy struck again. During a routine checkup, Tyler clutched his chest, gasping for air. Panic consumed the room, Jake, right there, almost paralyzed by fear. It was surreal. Their laughter turned to silence in seconds. The community sprang into action, mounting a desperate battle to save Tyler's life. Neighbors rushed in, offering support to Jake and sending prayers into the night. As time ticked by, Jake's world hung in balance, grappling with emotions that threatened to overflow with each heartbeat. Tyler, surrounded by a warm embrace of community support, questioned everything about his life and the boy next door. Would Tyler's journey lead him to understand the value in hard work, the strength of friendship, and the unrivaled love of family? As Jake looked around the shop, he felt the gravity of those questions. The lines between their worlds had blurred, and everything was on the brink of change. The blaring sirens pierced the silence, a haunting reminder of the fragility of life. Jake stood frozen, watching as the ambulance pulled up, lights flashing, cutting through the evening glow in frantic strokes of red and white. In that moment, the weight of responsibility shifted, colliding against the fear lodged deep within him. "You've got this, man," a neighbor shouted, breaking through Jake's daze as he stepped aside, allowing the paramedics to rush past. They swept Tyler onto a gurney, voices urgent but steady, moving with practiced precision. Jake's heart raced with every beat, each thud an echo of Tyler's fading spirit, or so it felt. With Tyler secured, the medics worked in tandem, slapping stickers and patches onto the boy's chest. Jake took a breath, the air thick with uncertainty and dread. He pushed aside the panic welling inside him. "Tyler," he called out, his voice carrying hope and tension all at once. You're gonna be okay, I promise. As they loaded him into the back of the ambulance, Tyler met Jake's eyes for a brief moment. There was a flicker of understanding, a bond tethered in this chaotic haste. The moment shifted, and suddenly, all thoughts of status and wealth vanished. Jake felt an unshakable urge to climb into the ambulance, to be with his new friend. But protocol dictated otherwise, and he was left standing on the curb, helpless and anxious. The door slammed shut as the ambulance lurched forward, sirens wailing into the distance. Jake stared after it, his mind spinning with the unlikeliest friendship forged in dire circumstances. The sunlight softened, now melting into a warm orange sky as the community buzzed around him. Questions filled the air, whispers and murmurs rising like a tide. What happened? Is he going to be okay? The worry etched on every face felt familiar, connecting them all in a web of concern. His neighbor, Sarah, moved close, placing a hand on his shoulder. Jake, you did everything you could. You saved him, she said, her voice steady, yet filled with the same tremor of fear he felt. Did I? The doubt seeped into his voice. The weight of what lay ahead pressed hard against him. What if it wasn't enough? In his heart, he already felt the shift. Who would have thought he'd find common ground with a boy like Tyler? Hours passed like days. The garage emptied, leaving Jake alone, surrounded by the tools of his trade. The smell of oil lingered, grounding him even as uncertainty consumed him. He pulled out his phone, scrolling through notifications. Each tick felt like a lifetime. Finally catching a break, his screen lit up with a text from Tyler's sister. He made it through surgery. Thank you for being there for him. We need to talk. Relief washed over him, yet it came with a new question. What was that conversation going to include? Would it involve diving deep into how two boys from such different worlds could ever fall into friendship? Could it unravel the very threads of status and perception that defined them? As he sat in the fading light, Jake felt a rush of determination. He would be there for Tyler, not just as a savior but as a friend. Yet as hard as he tried to predict the outcome, the reality surged back sometimes. The hardest part is understanding how much healing is still needed. What happens next? He murmured to himself, anticipation gnawing at him as he sorted through possibilities. His phone buzzed in his hand, pulling him from his thoughts. A notification from Tyler's sister, a simple message that read, "We need your help." Anxiety bubbled inside him, intertwining with a flicker of hope. What awaited would surely test their friendship and redefine both their lives. The next day broke with a cool breeze rustling through the trees, the sunlight spilling through the leaves in golden rays. Jake woke up early, heart racing in anticipation. Today, he would visit Tyler at the hospital. He spent extra time getting ready, washing his hair, and putting on a clean shirt. It felt silly, but he needed to feel like he was presenting his best self. When he arrived at the hospital, the sterile smell almost knocked him back. The sounds of beeping machines and murmuring nurses created a soundtrack of clinical urgency. Clenching his fists, he walked through the corridors, past children playing in the waiting room and sick patients being wheeled away. Each step felt heavier than the last as he approached Tyler's room. Taking a deep breath, he pushed the door open. Inside, Tyler lay pale but stable, a bandage curled around his forehead. Despite the tubes and monitors, he looked like he was simply sleeping. His sister, Mia, was seated in a chair by the window, her face a mask of worry mixed with relief. The sight of her reminded Jake of the great weight that had suddenly landed on his shoulders. He was about to step into their world. "Hey," he whispered, entering the room. Mia turned, her eyes widening slightly before settling into a soft smile. "Jake," she replied, voice faint, "you came." He approached the hospital bed cautiously. "How is he doing?" "Better," she sighed, brushing a stray hair behind her ear. "They say he'll recover, but it's going to take time. I don't know what to do next." Her voice cracked, revealing the underlying tension she was holding inside. Jake hesitated, uncertain how to offer comfort. "You're doing everything you can. He's lucky to have you." Mia met his gaze, and in that moment, he saw the fragility of her strength. "We need to talk about what happened last night. You were there, Jake. You saw it all." The memory flooded back, Tyler falling, the panic flashing in his eyes. "I just did what anyone would have done," Jake replied, his voice barely above a whisper. "He needed help. It was more than that." Mia leaned forward, eyes glistening with concern and gratitude. "You were there for him. You kept him awake, kept him fighting." Jake shifted uncomfortably under the weight of her words. "I didn't save him. The doctors did." "No, but you connected with him. He reminded me of who he was when he wasn't sick," she said, leaning closer. "He laughed. Jake, he laughing when you were with him like for the first time in weeks. That's who he needs to focus on getting back to." A warmth spread through Jake. He realized Mia was right. It wasn't just about medical care. It was about the bond, the connection that had sparked in that moment of chaos. "What do you need me to do?" he asked, feeling the urge to show up for both of them. Mia looked thoughtful. "Tyler's friends will be coming by soon. Maybe seeing you again will lift his spirits." A knot of anxiety tightened in Jake's stomach. What if he was just a fleeting connection? What if Tyler didn't remember their moment together in the chaos? "Will he remember me?" Jake asked, his voice almost trembling. Mia smiled softly, a little hope peeking through the heaviness. "He would need you to be part of this healing." Feeling both a surge of courage and vulnerability, Jake nodded. "Okay. I can do that." Just then, the door swung open, and a group of familiar faces stepped in. Tyler's friends, all buzzing with energy, filtering in with nervous laughter and encouragement. They greeted Mia first, diving straight into what felt like a misplaced celebration to Jake. In that moment, the atmosphere shifted. The laughter and chatter broke the hospital tension, reminding Jake of the life beyond the walls of that room. As they shared stories and memories, he started to understand that healing wasn't just about recovery, it was about rebuilding connections that matter most. Yet something gnawed at him, a fear of not truly belonging in this world. As his heart raced with every laugh, he realized it wasn't only Tyler who needed saving, it was himself too, learning how to connect with people who once seemed so different. When a familiar voice pulled him back, he turned to see Tyler's eyes fluttering open. A weak smile curled on his lips as he took in the scene. "Hey, what did I miss?" Tyler croaked, his voice barely audible. A smile of relief washed over Jake. "Just a party, you know." But before he could finish, a thought crashed over him. What if this was just the beginning? As Tyler blinked into awareness, Jake could see the questions swirling deep in his eyes. Would their fragile friendship withstand the real challenges lying ahead? Jake felt a mix of relief and anxiety wash over him as Tyler's gaze roamed the room. The energy felt charged, alive with possibilities. But beneath that excitement lingered an unshakable fear. What if he wasn't enough? He squeezed his hands, reminding himself his presence mattered. Mia was the first to respond, her voice light yet trembling. "You missed a lot. Your friends are here, they're weaving in and out of some wild stories." She gestured to them with a smile, but her eyes flickered with concern. Tyler's lips twisted into a lopsided grin that made Jake's heart leap. "Really? Did any of them mess up? I need to hear the dirt." His tone was playful, but Jake could hear the effort beneath it. The laughter that erupted kicked up the room's atmosphere even more. Tyler's friends rallied around him, inundating him with updates from the outside world. Jake stood a little back, observing as they reminisced about football games and goofy moments that felt a world away from the starkness of the hospital room. "What happened last night, Jake?" Tyler suddenly asked, his expression shifting from playful to serious. The room quieted, all eyes locked in on Jake. I remember you were there. Faded glimpses, but I felt like I was fighting for something. Jake's breath caught in his throat. How could he articulate that wild moment where he had panicked but also somehow thrived in adrenaline? Instead, he swallowed hard, choosing honesty. You were really brave, Ty. It felt like you were holding on to something important. I just wanted to make sure you didn't let go. Tyler looked down, lost in thought. The dim light framed his features, the bandage on his forehead stark against his pale skin. It struck Jake how fragile life was, swinging between laughter and uncertainty in just moments. Thank you, Tyler finally said, eyes meeting Jake's. I don't remember it all clearly, but I'm grateful. You were there for me when it counted. The words hung in the air, heavy yet freeing. Jake's heart swelled. He may have been losing himself in worries of not belonging, but maybe there was something more profound happening, a rebirth of connection, friendships woven even tighter through trials. As conversation flowed again, laughter returned. Jake felt a warmth spread through the room, memories growing like flowers in spring. Yet, as the banter continued, he wondered, how could he turn this glimmer of hope into something lasting? Wanna hear my best joke? Tyler chimed. It was a simple question, light, but Jake could see it dancing beneath the surface of his carefully crafted facade, a desire to reclaim a part of who he used to be. Everyone leaned in, yet it was Jake who felt rooted in place. There was more than laughter, there was the promise of healing. For Tyler and, perhaps, for himself. Moments passed, and they shared stories, moments of joy and struggle, surprising connections forming in the cracks of shared vulnerability. But then, a sudden change in atmosphere sent shivers through Jake. Mia's phone buzzed violently in her lap, and her face paled. Jake, I think you should see this, she said, face pale. The friends exchanged puzzled looks, curiosity mingling with concern. Jake felt a knot tightening. What could possibly be troubling now? His instinct screamed to reach out, to understand what lurked beyond the comforting laughter that had just filled the room. Is it about Tyler? He asked, a feeling of dread creeping in. No. It's about Mia. Hesitated, her grip on the phone tightening. This could change everything, but how? Jake steeled himself, heart racing again. He was ready for the storm, or at least he thought he was. But what new revelation waited to challenge everything they built? Mia's expression shifted from apprehensive to grave. Her eyes locked onto Jake, as if trying to convey a silent urgency. Jake, just look. He felt the breath catch in his throat as he leaned closer, peering over her shoulder at the buzzing phone. The screen illuminated her face with a harsh blue glow. A social media post was plastered across the screen, daring images of a fresh accident involving one of their friends, Kevin. A chill settled over the room, drowning out the laughter, the shared memories. Oh no, Jake whispered, heart racing. The news hit like a tidal wave, smashing through the warmth of their earlier moments. Is he? Mia shook her head slowly, her voice barely a whisper. It just happened. They said he crashed his car. He's in critical condition. The world around them dimmed, siphoning away the brightness that had filled the room. Friends exchanged uneasy glances, worry etched into their features. Tyler's face hardened, the lopsided grin from before replaced by a look of dread that reflected Jake's swirling anxiety. We've got to go to the hospital, Jake stammered, panic flooding his veins. He couldn't shake the feeling that life was dangling by a thread. No. Tyler's voice broke through, sharp and clear. Jake, we can't, not yet. We need to stay here and stay strong for each other. The confusion in the room felt palpable. How could they remain here, in this moment, when someone they cared about was fighting for his life? Jake's heart thudded against his chest, an internal war raging. But what if we can help him? Tyler leaned forward, gripping Jake's wrist with surprising strength. It won't help Kevin if we're falling apart. We need to breathe, to process this together. Please. For a moment, a haunting silence enveloped them, shrouding the air with heavy uncertainty. Jake grappled with the weight of Tyler's words. Could setting aside their fear and pain truly help? Could they draw strength from one another to face whatever awaited them outside? Mia's eyes shimmered with unshed tears, and that fleeting moment of unity made Jake feel like they might just find a way through this. He nodded, albeit hesitantly. Okay. But we have to keep in touch, figure out how things are going with Kevin. Satisfied, Tyler released his grip, allowing Jake to breathe a little easier. I promise we'll stay on top of this. But right now, let us revisit those stories. Honor our friendship the way we always have. As awkward as it felt, the friends started to share again, laughter making tentative returns, weaving through the uncertainty. Each word shared became a lifeline, pulling them back from the precipice of despair. Yet, in the depths of his gut, Jake felt the unease clawing back. Time was less on his side than it once seemed. Hours passed, and shadows lengthened. Eventually, Mia's phone buzzed again, crackling through their fragile peace. It's an update, she murmured, hands trembling as she brought the phone closer. The anticipation was electric, instilling both hope and dread. What does it say? Tyler asked, urgency coloring his tone. As Mia read, Jake couldn't help but grip Tyler's arm, anxiety buzzing beneath his skin. The outcome of this update would shift everything, and he realized he was terrified of what might come next. Kevin, he's alive, Mia finally managed, her voice choked with emotion. They're saying he's stable. Relief coursed through the room, but that didn't erase the fractures left behind. Nevertheless, it was a start. Yet even in that moment of relief, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that more revelations were coming. How deeply had this incident impacted their lives? What would happen next? As they grappled with the news, Jake couldn't help but feel that this was merely the beginning of a much bigger struggle. What awaited them around the corner? The news of Kevin's stability sent a wave of muted relief through the group, but the heavy cloud of uncertainty lingered. Jake let out a breath he didn't realize he was holding, though his heart still ached with that gnawing worry. Stable, he echoed, as if trying to convince himself. He looked around at the group. What does that even mean? I don't know if I can just sit here. The room felt like it was closing in on him, and the weight of silence was unbearable. Mia glanced at Tyler, who remained stoic but uneasy. Jake, I get it. We all do. But we must keep hoping. We can't let fear rule us right now. Right, Jake said, forcing a nod. But how do we do this? Before anyone could answer, Mia's phone buzzed again. This time, it seemed louder, more demanding. She glanced at the screen, her eyes widening. It's Kevin's sister, Emily. She's sending updates from the hospital. Everyone leaned forward, each person hanging on to Mia's words like a lifeline. Her fingers trembled as she tapped on the message. She says the doctors are doing everything they can. They're concerned about internal injuries, but the surgery went well. Sighing, relief washed over Jake momentarily. So he has a chance, then? He really has a chance? Mia nodded slowly, her voice quivering as she replied, yes, she thinks it's promising, but it's too early to know anything for sure. A moment passed, silence thickening the air as messages and emotions battled for supremacy. Jake understood the gravity of the situation. A flicker of hope intertwined with the fear that continued to grip his heart. Can I? Tyler interrupted, his voice shaky. Can I talk to Emily? I want to know if there's anything we can do for her or for Kevin. Mia exchanged glances with Jake. It might help. She probably needs some encouragement, too. Jake watched Tyler. He admired the ease with which Tyler displayed his courage, eager to step up even during such chaos. As Tyler began typing, his brow furrowed in concentration, Jake felt a swell of pride for his friends. Dude, "You're amazing," Jake said, breaking the lingering tension in the atmosphere. Tyler looked up and shrugged. "I just want to get through this together." "We all do." Their chat room lit up with fervor. They took turns sending supportive messages, words flowing more freely among friends united by fear and love. Each notification brought with it a momentary thrill and urge to connect, to share the burden. Hours stretched on, and between the updates and stories, they found odd moments of comfort. Mia recalled one hilarious night spent camping, Tyler lost in a neighbor's garden trying to impress a girl, while Jake and Kevin laughed, nearly rolling down the hill. As laughter erupted, it felt like a bomb soothing the wound festering beneath the surface. But just as quickly, the laughter faded. Reality loomed large, reminding them of Kevin fighting to survive. Beneath the smiling faces, Jake felt his heart racing again, a constant battle intertwining joy and worry. Just then, Mia's phone buzzed once more, stealing the breath from his lungs. He could see her hands shaking slightly as she looked at the screen, a new message illuminating her face. As she read, Jake leaned in closer, feeling the palpable tension rise again. "What does it say?" he whispered, heart pounding. Mia blinked rapidly, her eyes wide with shock. "It's about Kevin and his condition." The room tensed, an electric silence hanging in the air. What did this message hold? Jake swallowed hard, anxiety clashing with hope. He couldn't help but think, what if this was the moment everything changed? Would they be able to shoulder whatever news was coming next? Mia took a deep breath and finally spoke, her voice trembling with each word. It says they were able to stabilize his internal bleeding." Relief flooded through Jake like a wave crashing over the shore. He could feel his chest loosening as the initial tension drained away. "Stabilize?" he repeated, needing to confirm that his understanding was right. "Yes," Mia said, her expression shifting from shock to cautious hope. "They're moving him to a recovery room now. Kevin's fighting, he's showing signs of responding. In fact, he even squeezed the nurse's hand." A round of breaths escaped the group at once, a collective expulsion of pent-up worry. Tyler beamed, and Mia couldn't help but let a tear slip down her cheek. "He's really fighting, isn't he?" she whispered. Jake felt the warmth spread through him, mingling with the prior tension. Their friend was pulling through. They were committed to supporting him, and something deep inside assured him Kevin wasn't going to give up without a fight. But a voice nagged at the back of his mind. What if it wasn't enough? "Can someone go to the hospital?" "I can drive," Tyler offered, rising to his feet, determination etched onto his face. "I'll go too," Mia quickly added. "I want to be there for Emily and for Kevin if they let us in." It was Jake's turn to hesitate. What if things turned worse? Did he want to witness that? Yet he knew running away would only deepen his guilt. He bit his lip, decision digging deeper. "I'll come along." Tyler nodded, a newfound resolve shining in his eyes. "Then let us get moving. We need to be there for him and for each other." They left the room quickly, the shadows of anxiety still hanging over them even though hope had ignited a spark within. As they made their way to the hospital, the city lights seemed to blur by outside the car windows, thoughts racing as fast as their hearts. Jake felt the excitement of possibility laced with the fear of what awaited them. When they arrived at the hospital, the sterile air hung heavy with tension. They approached the reception desk, and Mia took a deep breath, gripping her phone tightly. "We'd like to see Kevin Harrington." "We're his friends," she managed, the quaver in her voice barely betraying the anxiety bubbling beneath the surface. The receptionist looked up, tapping away at her keyboard. "I'm sorry, visiting hours are strict, but I can let you know when you might be able to enter." Just as they were about to lose hope, the door swung open, and a nurse stepped out. Her expression was soft, her eyes filled with warmth. "You must be here for Kevin. He's in recovery, and although it's still early, you can see him for a few minutes." "But please," keep it short. He's still incredibly vulnerable. With a nod, they followed her down the fluorescent-lit corridor, tension coiling tighter with each step. Jake felt his heart quicken, a mix of exhilaration and dread swirling within him. As they approached the room, Jake's mind raced with a million what-ifs. What if Kevin didn't recognize them? What if he was in pain? But as they entered the room, Kevin lay there, pale and fragile but alive. His eyes fluttered open, the familiar spark flickering there, offering them a small glimpse of the friend they all cherished. Kevin Tyler breathed out, emotion thick in the air. "Hey," Kevin said weakly, a smile breaking through his pain-ridden expression. "You guys came." The moment felt electrified, a reminder of the bonds of friendship, and how important it was to fight for those we love. But as relief washed over them, deep questions hung in the air like dark clouds. What would this moment mean for Kevin moving forward? And would he be the same? Jake couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of something monumental. As Kevin's eyes closed once more in fatigue, the uncertainty of the road ahead loomed large. What would happen next? The air was thick with emotion as the three friends gathered around Kevin's bed. Jake caught Tyler's eye, and for a moment, they shared unspoken fears and hopes. Kevin's breathing was shallow, and the beeping of the machines felt like a ticking clock, each sound echoing in their hearts. Mia stepped closer to the bedside, brushing a stray lock of hair from Kevin's forehead. She hesitated, then leaned forward, her voice a mere whisper. "We're right here, Kevin. You're not alone." A tear slipped down her cheek, a small testament to the overwhelming relief of seeing him alive but still frail. Kevin's eyelids flickered open again, and he turned his head slightly, as if trying to focus on their faces. "Mia?" he croaked, his voice just above a whisper. "Yes, it's me," she said, squeezing his hand gently. "We're all here for you." "Tyler, I'm right here, buddy," Tyler replied, his voice thick with emotion. Kevin tried to smile, but it was a weak attempt, marred by pain. Jake stood back, grateful to be part of this moment but also battling a sense of helplessness. He felt the urge to say something, anything that would ignite the flame of Kevin's fighting spirit. "You're gonna get through this, man. We believe in you." But the words fell flat in the tense silence that followed. Kevin's expression shifted, worry flickering across his features. What happened?" He struggled to form the words, each syllable emanating effort. Mia exchanged worried glances with Tyler and Jake. "You were in an accident, but the doctors they're taking good care of you. You're safer now," she said, but doubt lingered in her tone. Kevin's eyes drifted to the ceiling, processing her words. "I don't remember." His gaze grew distant. "That's fine." Jake interjected, desperate. "Forget that. Just focus on getting stronger." The room fell quiet again, thick with uncertainty. Kevin closed his eyes, fatigue washing over him. The friends felt it too, the weight of what lay ahead. "We shouldn't stay too long," Mia said after a moment. "He needs to rest." "Can we come back tomorrow?" Tyler asked, hope edging his voice. "You better believe it," Jake replied. "We'll be back with snacks and anything you want." Kevin's faint smile returned, but it couldn't mask the fragility in his eyes. "Thanks, guys." Before he could finish, his eyelids fluttered again, the fight within him demanding rest. They left the room quietly, the sterile hospital air prickling their skins. As they walked back to the waiting area, Jake felt a sense of vulnerability settle in. They had witnessed a sliver of Kevin's struggle, but the fight ahead felt monumental. It seemed impossible to know how his life would change after this. Outside, the world felt like it was moving at a different pace. The streets hummed with life, but inside Jake's heart, all he could feel was the weight of Kevin's uncertainty. What if he can't recover? What if today was the best we ever see him? He thought. "Hey," Mia said softly, breaking through his thoughts. You okay? Jake forced a smile, even though the doubt gnawed at him. Yeah, just thinking about everything. Tyler, striding ahead, turned around. We'll get through this together. We can't lose him. But as they stepped into the waiting area, Mia's phone rang, a sudden interruption of their conversation. She pulled it out, her expression shifting from calm to alarmed. It's Emily. Answer it. Tyler urged, stepping closer. Mia's hand trembled as she swiped to answer. Emily, is everything okay? The silence that followed stretched painfully, and suddenly, every ounce of hope seemed to teeter on the edge. Emily? What's wrong? The look on Mia's face said it all. Jake's heart sank. What had happened now? Mia's eyes widened in disbelief. What do you mean? Her voice trembled, the joyful anticipation of a simple check-in vanishing in an instant. She stepped back, seeking support from the wall as if it could hold her up against the weight of bad news. Jake and Tyler exchanged glances, panic flaring within them. Mia, what is it? Tyler urged, his voice breaking with worry. Just a second, she replied, her gaze fixed on her phone. Just let me. The words floated in the air, thick with fear. Whatever Emily was saying, it was bad. Mia's hand shook, and she pressed the phone tighter against her ear, straining to hear. Is it about Kevin? Jake couldn't help but ask, his heart racing. It's about the accident, Mia finally said, a tear escaping down her cheek. Emily said that there were other people involved. They're at the same hospital. Tyler's face paled. What do you mean? Are they okay? Mia remained silent for a moment, absorbing Emily's words. One of them is critical. Jake felt the ground shift beneath him as dread settled in his chest like a lead weight. What does that have to do with Kevin? He asked, almost pleading for clarity. The paramedics found a wallet at the scene, Mia continued, her breath hitching. It belonged to someone named Alex. Emily says, they're still trying to contact the family. The implications hit them like a tidal wave. Jake felt nauseous. So, someone else might be. Yes. Mia choked out, and Emily's worried. She thinks if the other person doesn't make it, it might affect what doctors can do for Kevin. Tyler punched his hand into a fist. That's not fair. Kevin needs all the help he can get. Why can't it just be straightforward? Mia nodded, but her eyes pooled with tears, fear battling with the lingering hope. Emily wanted us to come back to the hospital. She thinks it's important to be there. A sinking feeling enveloped Jake. Here they were, devastated over Kevin, and now there was someone else's life hanging in the balance. How many lives would be changed because of this tragic event? We owe it to Kevin to be there, Tyler insisted, regaining some of his composure. Let us go now. Mia blinked, swiping her tears away. But what if? What if we're too late? Jake finished, his voice filled with urgency. Or what if there's nothing we can do? We have to at least try. They moved toward the exit, their hearts heavy but resolute. Outside, the sky had dimmed, a blanket of gray wrapping the city in somber shadows. Jake couldn't shake the thought of how quickly life could shift, how in a single moment everything could become uncertain. As they climbed into the car, each of them remained lost in thought, the weight of the situation anchoring them into the silence. What if? Mia started, her voice barely a whisper. What if this is where everything changes for all of us? What if it doesn't matter how for Kevin or for anyone else if they don't? Her voice trailed off. Tyler reached over, placing a steady hand on hers. We have to believe there's still hope. For Kevin. For Alex. For everyone. That's what counts, right? Jake nodded, determination filling him once more. Right, he said, clenching the steering wheel tightly as he turned the car towards the hospital. But just as they pulled onto the main road, a siren blared behind them. Mia's phone buzzed again, and her heart dropped. "It's Emily again." With wary hands, she answered. "What has happened?" But as her face turned ghostly pale, something told Jake that the worst might not be over yet. "Something's wrong, isn't it?" he urged, feeling dread pool in his stomach. And at that moment, a new layer of uncertainty unfolded, ready to test their strength once more. The car screeched to a halt as the weight of Mia's silence settled heavily in the air. "Mia?" Jake's voice trembled with anxiety, a fresh layer of dread creeping in like an unwelcome shadow. But Mia remained locked in place, her fingers rigidly gripping the phone, breath hitching with every heartbeat. They found out who Alex is," she finally whispered, eyes wide, brimming with unshed tears. "He's one of our classmates. He's just a year younger than us." "Wait, what?" Tyler's voice rose in disbelief, his hands gripping the back of the passenger seat. Everything felt jagged and surreal. How could this happen? Mia pressed the phone against her ear, listening intently, her eyes flickering between Jake and Tyler, searching for answers in their shared fear. "Emily says Alex's family is on their way to the hospital." Jake's heart sank. "So, he's in the same state as Kevin?" "Yes," she replied, her voice nearly breaking. "Critical condition. They're afraid that it could all spiral out of control." The dim yellow light of the street lamps flickered over their faces, mirroring the tension coiling within the car. All three of them were thrust into a nightmare they couldn't understand, a storm they hadn't been prepared for. Okay, Jake finally said, his voice steadier than he felt. "We need to focus. We can help. We need to stick together for them, for each other." Tyler nodded, his eyes ablaze with determination masked behind worry. "Right. Let us just get there. We need to be there." As they drove back to the hospital, a relentless knot formed in Jake's stomach. He couldn't shake off the thoughts invading his mind. What if they lost Kevin? What if Alex didn't make it? What did that mean for them, for the world they held dear? The parking lot was abuzz with a stark contrast to the chaos in their hearts. Nurses hurried past, the buzz of night shift chatter filled the air, and fluorescent lights hummed around them. Mia took a deep breath as they stepped into the hospital lobby. "We need the strength to get through this," she murmured, searching for reassurance in her friend's eyes. "Let us find Emily," Jake stated, his voice firm as they walked through the maze of hallways, the smell of antiseptic thick in the air. They made their way to the waiting room, the atmosphere increasingly heavy with families anxiously pacing, arms wrapped tightly around themselves. In the corner, Jake spotted Emily sitting on the edge of her seat, tears tracing glittering trails down her cheeks. "Mia!" she called out as they approached, her tone a mix of relief and terror. "I'm so glad you're here. What is going on?" Mia asked, her eyes darting around as if expecting more bad news to crash upon them. Emily shook her head, desperation swirling in her features. "They pulled Kevin out of surgery, but they need to make decisions. The doctors say it'll depend on Alex's condition. If he..." Her voice broke, and she stumbled over her words. "If he doesn't make it, the effects on everyone could be catastrophic. For both families." Jake felt his heart thud painfully in his chest. "We're here for them, though. Everyone's fighting for their lives. They need to know they have support." Tyler stepped forward, the fierce resolve in his eyes mirrored in everyone gathered in the waiting room. "We need to rally everyone together. Show them that this battle is shared. Love is stronger than anything." Mia met Tyler's gaze and then looked at Emily. "Yes. Let us reach out. We can't let them feel alone." As they began to gather others in the waiting room, Jake could feel a spark igniting within him. This was bigger than any one person. This was about connections, families held together by a fragile thread, but strengthened by love and shared determination. Around him, whispers and murmurs brought together classmates and neighbors alike. As they banded together, their fears intermingled, entwined in hope. Each face reflected resilience born from love, igniting their collective spirit. Within moments, Jake found himself in the center of this newfound resolve, guiding them as they shared stories, laughter, and tears. "This is not just about Kevin and Alex," he shouted, voice rising above the growing murmur of support. "This is about us. About how we stand by each other in times of need." Gradually, a sense of unity washed over the room, weaving a tapestry of community spirit. They hugged, exchanged encouraging words, offered support through shared fears. In their collective vulnerability lay a powerful truth: they were stronger together. As soon as the news came through that both Kevin and Alex were stable for the moment, a palpable sigh erupted across the room. Relief flowed like lifeblood. They may have been weathering storms, but now they stood, roots deepened in support and love. Jake's heart swelled, witnessing the transformation enveloping them. They de-intertwined their lives in a way few could understand. A day that began in fear and uncertainty was morphing into something beautiful. Something impactful. They were all emerging changed in a way that could only spark from tragedy. The moment hung in the air, shimmering with potential. Hope flickered ahead, a glimmering pathway unfurling like dawn breaking across a dark horizon. A determined sparkle filled Tyler's eyes. "This isn't the end. Whatever journey lies ahead, we take it together." A steady affirmation rippled through the crowd, hearts beating in unison. In that moment, it was clear, they were united not just in purpose but in their humanity. "Thank you all for being here," Jake said, his voice raw and brave. "Together, we can face anything." As heads nodded in agreement, the fire within them ignited bright and fierce. This wasn't the end, this was just the beginning, a collective awakening, filled with strength, unity, and hope. The journey ahead was uncertain, but together they would walk into whatever lay before them. To everyone witnessing this emotional journey, remember how important it is to support each other. These connections matter more than ever. Now, don't wait another second. Subscribe immediately to the channel for exclusive stories and heartfelt transformations. Leave a like now to help spread this message far and wide. Comment below your feelings about this ending and share your thoughts. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this inspiring journey unfold. Only true fans understand the importance of being part of this powerful community.